it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peace that make the thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I get to welcome you to a terrific Tuesday, y'all. It is definitely a terrific one with my guest who's in the building. I got Dr. Angela Griffin, the CEO of Byrd Barr Place, in the building in the Black Media Matter studios with me. And I'm so excited to not only talk about her background, the work of the organization, and this incredible campaign that they have going on that we need to learn all about. So I'm so glad that she's here to join us. But y'all know this is the top of the show, and I'm always grateful you're joining us. This is it really is the perfect time for you to be helping us grow by sharing this show with others who could benefit from our daily dose of dopeness we give you on the Day with Trae. And if you can't watch us, you can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast as well. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae, and you'll find us on whatever your favorite platform is. Well, before I get into it with Dr. Angela here, I gotta say that there's something really special about knowing what your gifts are. And for a lot of us, it takes time. You know, sometimes there are prolific children who understand their gifts at a very early age, and it's like, whoa, we're all blown away by it. So that is real. But there's something really serious about trial and error of life and how it takes you through this really specific path that gets you to a place where you're living in your purpose. You know, and there's oftentimes a moment in time where things really just begin to click, and you go, my goodness, all that I have gone through has prepared me for this role, this moment, this, energy, this sector, whatever it is that you're doing. And I just want to encourage folks to understand that these paths we're on, they're very unique to us. But when we think of, how many people have touched our lives and the different touch points we've had throughout the years, I always love to call this divine design. And in my mind, it looks like intricate spider webs. I mean, I don't know if you've ever just spent time really understanding nature, how a bird builds a nest, how a spider builds a web, the intricate nature of a honeycomb, from bees, or a wasp nest. Some of us don't want to get close at all to really see the intricate details. But I'll say that there is something so unique about the ways that we as creatures design things that make sense. And in some cases, it is an insect or an animal, and it makes sense for their particular habitat. But for us, because we have the freedom to choose, what it looks like for us can be varied, and it can hit a wide spectrum. And I want to encourage folks that you may be in a certain era of your life where you're saying to yourself, what is this all about? Why am I here? What am I doing? Or you may have already discovered the answers to that. But wherever you are on the spectrum, just be encouraged, because to be honest with you, divine design is quite special. And if you can begin to understand the specialties that you bring, the unique nature that you have within your own vessel, and why you're here will start to really flourish for you. Now, it took time for me, for sure, and I think it's a continuous journey. I don't know if it's a destination we get to, because it's continuous as we learn and we grow and we understand more about ourselves. But just be encouraged that no matter where you are on this journey, be in it. Be in it fully. Be present with the present, because there's always something that we can learn from it. Well, after this break, y'all, up next, we got Dr. Angela Griffin in the building, and we're going to be learning so much about Byrd Barr Place and their incredible campaign. You definitely don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
We're electric. I feel like the fans can feel that, and we're just going to keep this going.
He struck it down. Gino, like he never left Seattle.
Keep bringing the energy. We really need it. Let's go.
Got him at home.
Goodbye, baseball. Cal did it.
We show a lot of heart. This team has a lot of fight. You guys have been electric. You guys are the key to this, so thank you guys.
I'm Isaiah Carey, here to shake things up with the stories that hit hard and matter most. Here on The Factor, we cover news with grit and authenticity. We challenge the status quo and get down to real talk and bold discussions. Join us as we amplify the voices that disrupt, inspire, and lead the charge for change. Your story is power, and we're here to unleash it.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored. New episodes weeknights at 9:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
In Seattle, it's more than just coffee. It's community. At the station, we brew more than just your favorite cup. We brew connection. From Beacon Hill to Columbia City, we're a space for artists, activists, and everyone in between. A place to gather, create, and simply be. Whether you need a quiet place to work, a lively spot to meet friends, or just a moment to unwind, find your place at the station. More than coffee, it's home. Visit us in Beacon Hill or Columbia City. The station, where community happens.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now, we got Dr. Angela in the building. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. We've been talking about getting you on the show for a while.
For a little while.
So this is exciting for me. But, you know, before we get into Byrd Barr Place, I really want to talk about you for a second. You know, when we think about the role of CEO, there's a lot that you're stepping into, that you've stepped into in terms of not only staff, but this mission of this organization that's been so rooted in community for so many decades. Tell us about your background and what got you to say, you know what, I am positioned to take this position.
Yes, that's a beautiful question. I've been leading organizations, nonprofit organizations in particular, or education-based organizations for over 3 decades now. And so I was divinely selected to serve at Byrd Barr Place. And at first I said no. Right? I had people in the community who reached out to me, and because my background has been in early learning or school-age childcare or helping youth in foster care graduate from high school, or even at one point in my career, I helped adults who were getting off of the roles of welfare and getting into the workplace. When I was asked to come and lead at Byrd Barr Place, my first thought was, well, it's in the Central District of Seattle. It's in the heart of what I know to be the Black community. And I'm not from Washington State, I'm from Southern California. I've been here for 20 years now, so I guess I'm locked in, but I'm not from here. So I said, no, I think we need a leader who knows the Central District, has lived, breathed the air in the Central District all their life, and maybe has led a Black serving organization before. And I had some really great mentors, Michelle Merriweather over at the Urban League, some other people from community who reached out and said, actually, we need someone who knows organizational leadership, organizational development, cultural relevancy, and can actually just speak truth and power to a community and be encouraging and uplifting. And so I said yes, and it has been the most rewarding work that I have ever done in my whole career.
Wow.
My whole career, just being able, this is the first time I actually get to be in an organization. My whole board is Black, right? Most of the staff are Black. You know, we don't get to serve as much as the Black community as we want to in our building, but when we go out into community, we're very intentional about supporting and serving the Black community. And it's powerful. It's a powerful experience. You know, my father was a Black Panther. I was raised and learned all my cultural experience in the Black community and other communities. And so being able to lead this organization, it feels like I've come home. And it feels just so comfortable and actually just rewarding.
Wow.
To be in this space.
What a true example of living in purpose on purpose. Yes. I mean, you talk about all of that experience and it being able to guide you as you stepped in as CEO, reluctantly even, it sounds like. Yeah. But I'm so glad to hear that you're having such a great experience, really continuing to lead the phenomenal work of Byrd Barr Place. I find myself, to be honest, just truly connected to Roberta Byrd Barr. So I love your organization and what you do. And when I think of this work, I'm oftentimes reminded of where, you know, so much community media comes from. And she was such a shining example of that. So, you know, so your work is incredible. But you know, when you think of now the work of the organization, I mean, y'all a few years back had this phenomenal renovation, right? And it changed the way kind of that people could be serviced. I want to talk a little bit about that. I know a little bit, but y'all really listened to community voice in terms of their needs in order to make sure that this renovation really responded to those needs. Tell us about how now the flow of services works in this space.
Yes, well, most people still walk into the building and call it camp or the campfire house, right? There's community that won't let go of the name, but the service is still the same, right? And so we're all about keeping the dignity of everyone who walks through that door. We're all about saying yes when someone comes in and says that they need something. If we don't have it there in the building or we don't have it tangibly, then we're going to figure out where in the community people can get the resources that they need. And for me, that's what equity is about. We give people exactly what they need, when they need it, and how they need it. And so when you come into our building, our market is, it's amazing. I've had the opportunity or experience when I was younger having to go to a food bank and getting food from a food bank. And the dignity wasn't there. You got a box where a bunch of stuff was thrown in there, and you get it home and you kind of pick through it, and we might eat the cheese and the crackers, right? But some of the other stuff, it just wasn't healthy or it wasn't worth having. But when you come into Byrd Barr Place's market, there's fresh produce. We go out to the black farmers. We go out to and get fresh produce and fresh fruit, and we ask people through surveys and just direct conversations, what is it that you need? What is it that you want? And when people come in our doors on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, regardless of the time they walk in, the same food is there for everyone that walks through the door, and they get to pick. The design was designed by PCC, so they put the aesthetics on it, of course, right? But people can walk in and just pick what they want, get as much as they want. We try to make sure it's culturally relevant. So some people want rice, some people need halal, some people want collard greens, but whatever people want, we try to make sure they have it. And one of the stories I like to tell, we also do food boxes that we deliver to the community, and then we do what's called no-cook bags for those who are unhoused. And one gentleman was walking out of the building, he walked by my office, and I try to keep my door open so I can see people as they're leaving and speak to him. And I asked him, did he get everything that he needed? And he said, well, you always put peanut butter and you put bread in these bags, but you never put any jelly in these bags. So I went to the market, I said, can we get some jelly to put in some of these no-cook bags sometimes? And we did. And I saw him later, months later, and he told me that he was happy, he was getting what he needed. But that's how we listen to community and try to meet their needs through our food bank and our energy assistance and home buying programs and any other way we can serve people.
It's really such a shining example. I remember seeing the drawings of this market, and I too have had to be at a food bank a time or two in my life. And I really appreciated just the look and feel that y'all were saying, no, we have to do it this way. Yes. It is so innovative, and it actually gets me quite emotional when I think about how commitments to service can really be executed in ways that not only exemplify, like, no, we love and care about you, but also we value you, right? Like, you don't have to come here and feel like, oh, let me get through this pity party and everybody's gonna be looking at me. You know what I mean? There's just like this feel when you are in need of services that oftentimes can make you say, I'm only here because I really need it, right? Like, otherwise I wouldn't be putting my business out here. Like, I wouldn't be up in here. But to treat people with that level of dignity, I think is so inspiring, and it's truly setting an example. So I thank you for that so much. Now, this incredible campaign, you're embarking on something that allows for you to connect even deeper with community. Tell us more.
Yes, so our For the Record campaign is an opportunity for us to collect data, both quantitative and qualitative. So we want to hear the narrative as it relates to displacement. So I, again, coming here, 20 years here from out of state, I would hear about displacement out of Seattle and gentrification, and people would say, oh, well, Black folks have moved down south. They had moved to Federal Way or Kent or maybe even Eastern Washington, but I didn't see data that really validated that. And I'm a data researcher at heart, action research. Give me the data, let's figure out a solution, and let's keep testing it to see whether or not it's working and really serving community. And so I wanted to see the numbers. I wanted to hear directly from folks in a a larger number of information as to where people went, how people are doing, and where there might be some gaps in serving people. And so we have launched on this data-driven, but also culturally responsive set of surveys and in-person opportunities to ask people direct questions as to where they are. And so it's a statewide assessment that we are doing. It's called a community needs assessment. And we are a community action organization. So we actually have a requirement with our funding to do a community needs assessment every 3 years. And so this assessment, we wanted to understand displacement and actually be able to inform some of the work that's happening in our state, like around reparations, as decisions are being made as to what services are really needed for the Black community. We want to be able to hear from the Black community. We want, as an organization, we're a by and for organization for the Black community. So they got to tell us, right, what is it that is happening and what is it that is needed so that we can make sure our work is very intentional and serving who we were designed to serve.
Well, I appreciate this too, because I think oftentimes in community people say, oh my gosh, I'm over-surveyed. Give me one more survey. Oh God, how many times do I have to tell? But I recognize, even as a part of just like my public service brain too, that when we think of being driven by community needs, we do need to hear it. But we also need to make sure that community feels the difference. Like you shared with us, here's what we did with what you shared with us, which is so important, because oftentimes that stuff is happening in your annual report for your donors, for your board, right? Like it goes into a place that doesn't necessarily reach community. How are y'all working to make sure that community understands how you're going to utilize this data for their benefit?
Right. So we have been very transparent in sharing that we're giving this data back to the community and to other organizations and to our government systems and so forth. I mean, even recently when our mayor has decided to provide some funding to reparations in the city of Seattle, we had a conversation about how this data could be helpful in determining who and how the funding gets resourced out. And so the intention is not for Byrd Barr Place to hold it. We don't want to put it in a pretty little book and hold on to it. We are giving it back to all the other agencies, all the other nonprofits and government entities to be able to use the data and then hold them accountable to using the data, right? Yeah. Like once you know this information, you got to do something with it and do something about what the community is telling you. Yeah. So that's what's important. And it's a statewide assessment. So we're wanting to understand where people are in rural areas, in urban areas, what's happening across our state and try to get some collective voice and understanding. We're also looking to disaggregate the data from the Black community, right? So what's the experience for Black folks who, our inheritance and our heredity is connected to slavery, and for Black folks who may have immigrated or come here as refugees directly from Africa. Yeah. So we want to understand that better because those experiences can be very different as well.
No, I appreciate that because oftentimes it gets lumped in and we need more disaggregation of data to understand those nuances that really exist in our community. But, you're talking about partnering, and I want to talk about this because, your work is really a part of this amazing, group of work. There's a lot of organizations working in anti-poverty, right? Yes. And y'all are really such a major player of that. Tell us about how important these partnerships have been in your work. I love being able to give it back to the community, and you already have existing partnerships that really allow you to do that in a transparent and sustainable way that can make some real solutions happen in the community. But it's because of those partnerships, right?
Yes. Well, partnerships critical for us. So when we were founded in 1964, we were the hub organization in the Central District. And so we were founded by the Urban League and the Black Panthers and NAACP to actually do this work around anti-poverty and creating generational wealth in the Black community. but now, 60 years later, we have seen those services dispersed throughout the community. So we're not the child care organization anymore. We're not the youth development organization anymore. You know, there isn't dancing happening in our basement anymore. There are many organizations that are doing the work that we did in the past. And so it's critical that we make sure that we're always talking, we're always connecting people who may come through our doors looking for those services, that they're being connected to the organizations that actually provide those services. And you know, again, we have this beautiful building, so we have given it to the community. Come in here and hold your meetings, hold your gatherings, hold your events, and use the space to be able to keep building community. So we partner with the Black Legacy Homeowners. They have a monthly dinner there. We partner always with the Urban League on a variety of events, but there's just opportunity for community to continue to come there and support us. With the community needs assessment, because we don't serve youth, we actually partnered with an agency to go out into the communities and find out how youth are experiencing displacement, because we don't ask them. Mm-hmm. Many of them keep hearing the stories about their parents and their grandparents, and there's a disconnect from what was home for their families and generations in the past. And so there's things like the Covenant home buying program that they, you know, can purchase homes if they had a relative that was in Seattle or in Washington in a certain period of time, but they don't know that they have those roots and those connections. So we've partnered with someone to ask them as well, you know, what their experiences are, what do they know about the displacement of their families, and make sure they also have the information to actually take advantage of the resources and services that exist for them just because their families had that experience.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate this, focus on displacement. My family was definitely displaced. I need to make sure I fill out the survey. But, you know, my siblings and I would talk about that, you know, in terms of like what it meant for us. Like it meant something a bit different for my mother and father than it did for us children. And over time, I think a lot of that started to merge. Because for a long time, my mother and I couldn't even drive through the CD without crying. It was like a real, like, visceral reaction. And we were like, are we crazy? Are we just too sentimental? Or like, why are we always emotional? And, you know, of course, throughout the course of time, all of these books start popping up, all this research, all this, you know, understanding, like we were uprooted from place. So I really appreciate the focus on that. I think there's still so much that we need to learn from, you know, these widespread waves of gentrification across the country. And Seattle in particular had such a case of it. It is really a case study in Seattle. So I'm so glad that y'all are doing that. And of course, you have your gala. You were talking about events. I'll be there on the 20th because I'll be at, you know, Sister Boss's Making Boss Moves event, which will also be at Byrd Barr. Yes. But you also have an annual way that people can stay connected to your work and contribute. Not only do we want you to tell them how they'll get the survey, but give us a little information on that gala. Look right there and let the people know.
Yes, so our survey can be accessed through our website on byrdbarplace.org. And you can look for The Record is the campaign. Our gala, which is being held Saturday, September 27th at the Hyatt Regency Seattle at 6 p.m. is going to feature attorney and civil rights leader Benjamin Crump. So we are always intentional about making sure that we bring people into town who can speak to the power and the opportunity that we have when we use our voice to push back against systems that continue to try to oppress us. So Benjamin Crump is going to join us. Our Attorney General, Nick Brown, is going to facilitate that conversation with him. And then we're also just going to have a whole lot of fun. The theme is Roaring 20, so people are going to get dressed up and just really enjoy the evening here in Seattle.
Wow. Y'all keep it nice and right with your speakers and your keynotes. Thank you so much, Dr. Angela Griffin, for your commitment to serving community. I'm so glad you're at the helm at Byrd Barr Place. And you know, anytime y'all have an update, y'all got something we need to know, the Day with Trae is here for you.
Thank you.
Wow. What a great, great Tuesday, y'all. I told you this week we are rocking. I'm going to wrap all this up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Here on Back to Vesa, it's always been important to me that we uplift stories from across the region and that no matter where you live in the nation, you never have to miss a moment of the show as we continue to highlight the beauty, excellence, and resilience of our communities across the Pacific Northwest. Why? Because representation matters. So no matter where you live, be it the Central District or Centralia, Portland or Pullman, or anywhere across the country, I encourage you to join me on this Back to Vesa journey by downloading the free Fox Local app on your phone or smart TV as we continue to elevate the very best in our communities.
Hello, welcome to Elite Insights with Carlos Humani. We're looking to offer an in-depth look at event production industry through the lens of client experiences and joint successes. The podcast will emphasize guest interviews, focusing on client, discussing their fields, and reflecting on their collaboration with Elite Collective. Again, you're with Elite Insights. Carlos Humani here. See you guys in a few.
Black caregivers, entrepreneurs, and elders, this one's for you. Queen Care is offering complimentary self-care services to those who give so much to their communities. Take a moment to restore, recharge, and be cared for with free wellness treatments at the Spa House by Queen Care. Spots are limited, so don't wait. Go to queencareproducts.com now to sign up or scan the QR code on your screen because you deserve the same care you give to others.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Huge shout out to my guest today, y'all, Dr. Angela Griffin. Drop in the fire. When you have a leader at the helm of such a powerful organization who is leading with her heart, it's beautiful to see. And y'all know I'm inspired because it doesn't matter what we do in our lives. When we are leading with something that really allows us to be connected to the purpose, that it keeps us driven, I'm telling y'all, there's always going to be magic that happens. So make sure you go to byrdbarplace.org, get your tickets for the gala, be there to do the survey. Make sure you hit submit on that so that they can truly gather these experiences that many of us have found ourselves in throughout the state of Washington. There are some major pockets of displacement, but it's something that really impacts everyone because when folks are displaced, they also move to other neighborhoods that were like, whoa, now what do we do? There's a change in what we've known. And I know that Federal Way has experienced that. I'm a homeowner in Federal Way, and I know that now there's 14% Black families. And if you look at the data, that was not always the case. So of course, now they have to find ways to make sure that they're serving the new residents. And that is something that can go beyond any type of location. It's just universal, right? You need to be able to figure out now what type of services or organization should be here because we need to service this community that has grown in our region, in our area. So this is real. And I really encourage y'all to make sure you do that survey because the more that everyone hears from you, the more the solutions can be geared towards serving you better. So I thank y'all so much for watching. I want y'all to be inspired because when we're inspired, we can actually rid ourselves of apathy and do something with our energy in this world. Thank you so much again. I'll be back with y'all tomorrow. And until then, at 11 a.m., y'all, peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.